Hello, I'm Paige West, the author of Strategic Management, the 8th edition, published in 2024. I'd like to take a few minutes here in this short presentation to tell you about the exciting bundles of my textbook and the strategy simulations from Capsim, Capstone and CapsimGlobal. The combination of this textbook and either of these simulations provides a powerful and effective way to teach business strategy. Now, I taught strategy at Wake Forest for 25 years, and prior to joining Wake, I earned my PhD at the University of Colorado in Boulder, and before that, I spent nearly 20 years in industry. This combination of experiences has helped me realize how strategy is most effectively taught. That is, through students trying their hands at it. So let me talk for a minute about the philosophy behind my textbook. And then these ideas lead directly into the parallel reasons for bundling it with one of the strategy sims. My textbook, Strategic Management, Value Creation, Sustainability, and Performance, is now in its 8th edition, published in 2024. After years of using other strategy texts, I decided to write my own. And if you go to our support site at www.strategicmanagement.org, you can read in greater detail about my motivation for this effort. But here's the short version, and I quickly mention here 5 essential values that this textbook brings to you. First, I often found that many of the other strategy texts I used almost appeared as a series of standalone topics without much glue to sync them together. In contrast, my text fully integrates the strategy domain, and I do this by introducing early on 2 strategic imperatives to students: value creation and opportunity recognition. These highlight the tension that exists in strategy in today's contemporary environment, creating value now while planning for the future. Throughout the book, in every chapter, we revisit these 2 imperatives. In addition, extensive use is made of the fundamental value chain and resource-based advantage theoretical perspectives to tie everything together from beginning to end. Together, these integrating mechanisms make the entire domain of strategy more understandable to students because they can see how everything builds on these core ideas. This book is strongly grounded in strategy theory, but it also has a very practical applied bent. Most chapters provide specific guidance on how to put ideas to use, steps to conduct an industry analysis, how to create a strategy map, how to do a resource analysis, and more. Practical applications help a lot. I'll come back to this in a few minutes since it's right at the heart of using a strategy simulation along with the text. I devote a full chapter in the text early on explicitly to performance, which few other texts do. By doing so, I set the contract with my students that we're interested in that critical relationship between strategy and firm performance. Dealing with performance right up front makes class discussions richer, and students move from, I think this is the way they ought to go, to, I think this is the way they ought to go, and I estimate this is the effect that will have on their performance. Now, this is really a huge leap in critical thinking. Now, the 8th edition was published in 2024. The beauty of this digital text is that the examples and illustrations in it are the most current of any strategy text out there. Legacy text publishers have to deal with long lead times related to print production, but we don't have this limitation. So when your students open this textbook, everything is fresh. Finally, this text is also value priced. New editions of printed text strategy today can cost over $250. As a digital play without the burden of physical printing assets and freight, we offer the lowest price of any strategy textbook in the market. For these reasons and more, my strategic management text is now the #1 title in strategy on the leading digital textbook hosting platform in the United States and around the world, and that's VitalSource. We've received terrific feedback from faculty who have adopted the text. You can see a sampling of their comments here from all over the country. They find the presentation and unpacking of strategy concepts clear and compelling and useful for their students. So let me now turn to the use of simulations as part of the strategic management course. I have great personal experience with strategy simulation. In fact, I introduced it into the curriculum at Wake Forest many years ago and discovered what a positive difference it makes in the strategic management course. The Capstone simulation from Capsim is the latest in this field, and it really is state of the art. Now, my strategy courses are heavily skewed toward case discussions in class. Cases contribute to learning because students get a chance to try out their ideas in the classroom, receive feedback from other students and from me, and eventually find their way to the appropriate solution alternatives. Well, the Capstone simulation provides the very same learning dynamic, where students try their ideas and then discover how well they work. So my view is that the simulation can add great value in teaching a new generation of students who are interested in digital apps and gaming, and it can work very well in sync with a case discussion class. And students do love simulation and gaming. They bring strategic management alive. They make it exciting. They draw students together in their teams, and most importantly, they give students a chance to really see how challenging it can be to integrate various functions across a company in a strategic sense, and gives them a chance to practice what they previously read about and talked about. Now they get a chance to do it. Now you can read a selection of comments here that are made about the value students find in Capstone. But just having students excited and engaged is only part of the package. At Wake Forest, we found that simulations can enhance education and better achieve our learning goals. Capstone helps students bridge the knowing-doing gap. Trying their hand and making strategy decisions gives them valuable experience. And learning is enhanced through the feedback loops in the Capstone program. Shortly after student teams make decisions, they see the results. This usually prompts deeper reflection on cause and effect. And Capstone presents what you might call a complete learning solution for faculty. This is because within the strategy course, both students and teams learn, but data and results from the simulation can also be productively and efficiently incorporated into assurance of learning efforts in your department and your school. These dimensions are all relevant, whether the simulation is being used for a full semester or a half term, or whether it's used at the undergraduate or graduate level. And as I've suggested, my experience has been extremely positive. I like to tell my students that there are only winners and learners in the simulation. Some teams will struggle a bit more than others, but all will better appreciate the nature of strategy through the experience. I'm very clear with my students that learning strategy is like learning to ride a bike. There's only so far you can go just by reading the manual. You have to roll up your sleeves, get on the thing, and try riding it. You may fall down a couple times, but practice helps make you better. The Capstone program is also designed in a way that the transition into the simulation is reasonably smooth. This is because it builds on the customary flow of strategic decision making. Here's the strategic management model from my textbook, Strategic Management 8th edition. As is the case in the text, in the simulation, students will follow the process of analysis, formulation, implementation, and evaluation. Capstone's tools provide great opportunity for analysis and integrated formulation. Its alerts and periodic reports foster evaluation, leading to the learning feedback loops. I've mainly mentioned Capstone in this presentation because it's the leading strategy simulation in use today by strategy instructors in the US. But equally as engaging for students is the CapsimGlobal simulation. This sim is appropriate when you want to heavy up on the international strategy dimension in your simulation. With a bit less complexity on the market segments and product variety dimensions, CapsimGlobal then adds back complexity from competing in multiple geographies. This includes, for example, differing macroeconomic conditions for different markets, fluctuating exchange rates, decisions about where to manufacture, and more. Finally, here's a presentation of how either simulation can be integrated into a typical full semester strategic management course. I've highlighted in red a few junctures showing new phases for the simulation. Most instructors allow for an introduction and learning period followed by a couple practice rounds. This gives the students' teams a chance to become more familiar with the program. In this presentation, the competitive rounds start in the 6th week of the term and continue for 8 decision rounds. Then, a final debriefing session provides the chance to reflect back and tie up any loose ends. A fuller syllabus is available to download on the Strategic Management Support site. Well, I hope this short presentation has piqued your curiosity and interest in the text and the simulation bundle. You know, trying anything new is always a bit scary and it takes a bit more planning initially, but the payoff here is terrific in terms of student engagement, learning, and how accomplished you feel about your own teaching. The bundle of Strategic Management 8th edition in either Capstone or CapsimGlobal are very attractively priced. See the instructions here to go to the Capsim website to get started. Or if you have further questions, the folks at Capsim and I are happy to hear from you. Thank you for your time.